What I'm about to tell you will make you question everything you think you know about your own neighbors. In 2015, 8-year-old Michael Thompson vanished from his suburban Ohio neighborhood without a trace. For 7 long years, his father David searched everywhere: police stations, hospitals, even morgues. But he never thought to look in the one place that was right under his nose the entire time. March 15th, 2015, Sunday morning. The sun was just rising over the quiet Willowbrook neighborhood in Ohio. David Thompson sat in his kitchen, sipping his coffee, while gazing out at the backyard. His wife Sarah was still asleep upstairs. She had worked late into Saturday night. Michael had woken up early that morning, energetic as always, curious as always. "Dad, can I try the new climbing equipment in the backyard today?" he asked, his eyes sparkling with excitement. David smiled. He had installed a small climbing wall for his son just a week ago. "Of course, buddy, but eat your breakfast first." It was 10:30 a.m. Sarah wouldn't wake up for a few more hours. As David read his newspaper, he could hear Michael playing outside. The joyful shouts of children, the sounds of running around. These were the most beautiful sounds a father could hear. At 11:45 a.m., David stepped outside. "Michael, lunch is ready," he called out. No response. "Michael." Silence again. David scanned the backyard. The climbing wall was empty. The swing was motionless. There was no trace of the child anywhere. This was the moment David Thompson's life split in two. Life before Michael and life after Michael. Police arrived within 15 minutes. The neighborhood alert procedure was quickly activated. The Willowbrook neighborhood had never seen a disappearance case like this before. Detective Martinez was an experienced woman. "Mr. Thompson, did Michael have any special friends? Any place he visited regularly?" David shook his head. He was very shy. He usually played at home, sometimes played ball in the yard with Emma, the neighbor's daughter. The neighbors across the street were the Henderson family, Tom, Linda, and their 7-year-old daughter Emma. They appeared to be the perfect family. Tom was an assistant manager at the local bank. Linda was a part-time teacher, always smiling, always helpful. "Have we spoken with the Hendersons?" Martinez asked. Yes, they joined the search teams too. Tom even asked for help from his work colleagues. The first 48 hours were critical. The FBI got involved. K-9 search teams were called in. The media announced the story. Michael's photo was posted everywhere. But there were no clues. It was as if the child had vanished into thin air. The first year was the hardest. Sarah blamed herself. "I wish I had woken up earlier that morning. I wish I hadn't left him alone." David, meanwhile, searched for Michael every morning on his way to work and every evening coming home. He thought he heard Michael's voice in every child's sound. He thought he saw Michael in every little boy. The second year, they hired private detectives. They spent all their savings. The third year, they started marriage counseling. The fourth year, Sarah moved to her sister's place in California. She couldn't live in that house, in that neighborhood anymore. David stayed alone. But he refused to leave. What if Michael comes back? What if he's looking for me? I need to be here. The Henderson family continued to be perfect neighbors. Linda would bring David meals. Tom would help with yard work. Emma had grown up now. She was a high school student. The fifth year, David retired, and he dedicated most of his time to searching for Michael. The sixth year, he fell into depression. The seventh year would be when everything changed. March 2022. The 7th anniversary of Michael's disappearance was approaching. That morning, David was looking at the Hendersons' old garden shed. Tom had told him last week, "That old shed is completely rotted now. I'm thinking of tearing it down and building a modern storage unit. But you know, Linda has emotional attachments. If you renovate it, maybe I can convince her." David thought about it. Maybe keeping his hands busy would be good. Maybe helping the neighbors could bring back the feeling of normalcy from the old days. "Sure, Tom, I'll help." That Saturday morning, David went over to the Hendersons' yard with his tools. The shed was indeed in bad condition. The boards were rotted, the roof had collapsed, and the floor was slippery and damp. David started cleaning the floor. Old garden tools, rotten leaves, spider webs. The usual products of the decay process. Then, in the corner, he saw a metal object. He bent down to look. It was a small toy car. Its red color had faded, but it was still recognizable. David's heart started beating rapidly. This toy. He knew this toy. This was Michael's favorite toy, the little red fire truck. He took it everywhere. It slept next to his bed. It was always with him when he played in the yard. David picked up the toy with trembling hands. Maybe Michael had played here that day. Maybe he had dropped the toy. But no. Michael could never have entered the Hendersons' shed, because the shed was always locked. Tom said there were valuable garden tools inside. David carefully began examining the inside of the shed. Could there be other things in the corners, under the wooden pieces? Then he noticed that one of the floorboards looked different from the others. It seemed newer. The nails on it were also shiny. He could hear his heartbeat now. With trembling hands, he began to lift that board with his hammer. When the board came up, what he saw froze him solid. Under the wooden floor, there was a small burial area. And there were Michael's other toys. Lego pieces, small action figures, even his favorite teddy bear. David's eyes filled with tears. But worse yet, next to the toys were Michael's clothes. The blue t-shirt he was wearing that day, the small jeans. And at the bottom, the most horrific thing David had ever seen, were Michael's small bones. David screamed, a scream that would shake the entire neighborhood. The scream of 7 years of pain, 7 years of hope vanishing in an instant. People came running from neighboring houses. The first to arrive was Linda Henderson. "David, what happened? Are you okay?" David looked at her. This woman, this perfect mother, had come to him every day for 7 years, brought him food, comforted him. And every day she knew where his son's body was. You killed him," David whispered. Linda's face turned white as a sheet. "David, what are you saying?" "You're in shock." But David understood everything now. Why the Hendersons had joined the search team so quickly that morning. Why Tom always tried to help the police. Why Linda was always by David's side, to observe him. Police arrived within 10 minutes. This time, Detective Martinez was retired, but the new team moved very quickly. The Henderson family was immediately taken into custody. Tom initially denied everything, but the evidence was too clear. Finally, Linda couldn't bear it and confessed. Michael came to our yard that day looking for his ball. Tom caught him in the shed. The child was terrified and started screaming. While Tom was trying to quiet him, "It was an accident. It happened so fast." Michael fell and hit his head. "What did you do then?" asked the interrogating officer. "We panicked. Tom said if we told the police, they would take our Emma away too. The child was already dead. We couldn't bring him back, but we could protect our own family." "You stayed by David's side for 7 years. How did you endure it?" Linda started crying. "I lived in hell every day, but it was too late. Once we started lying, we had to continue." The most shocking part was Emma's confession. The girl was now 14 years old and had been carrying this secret for years. "I was home that day," Emma said, her eyes filled with tears. "I heard Michael screaming. I looked out the window and saw my dad dragging him into the shed. Then the sounds stopped. Why didn't you tell anyone?" "At first, Dad told me that Michael had just run away. As I grew up, I understood the truth, but it was too late. My family would fall apart, and I would be guilty too, because I had stayed silent for years." Emma confessed that she watched David from her house window every day, when the man didn't eat, didn't sleep, when he cried. She had seen everything. When David returned home that night, he called Sarah. "I found Michael. he said simply. Sarah flew in. For the first time in 7 years, she stepped into that house. They cried together, hugged, shared memories of Michael. How can we forgive them? Sarah asked. We won't forgive them, David said. But now we know the truth. Michael can rest in peace. David watched the Henderson family's trial in court. Tom was found guilty of first-degree murder. Linda was convicted of concealing a body and obstructing justice. Emma, being a minor, was only required to undergo psychological treatment. Michael's funeral was held 7 years later. The entire neighborhood came. People had lost their trust in the Henderson family. Now, no one could trust their neighbors the way they used to. David and Sarah sat by Michael's grave. For 7 years, I searched for him everywhere, David said. It never occurred to me that he could be buried 20 meters away. It never occurred to me that the people closest to us could do this to us, Sarah said. David stood up. But now we know the truth. Michael's soul has found peace, and we can slowly heal too. The two walked away from the cemetery hand in hand. 7 years of hell had ended. But a new life, a new beginning was possible now. The Willowbrook neighborhood would never be the same again. People now viewed their neighbors with different eyes, because sometimes the greatest danger came from the most trustworthy-looking people. Today, David Thompson is the president of a foundation that works for missing children. He and Sarah remarried and now live in Florida. Every year on Michael's birthday, they come to Ohio to visit his grave. Tom Henderson is serving a life sentence in prison. Linda received a 5-year prison sentence and now lives in another city. Emma continues therapy and has become a university student. The Hendersons' old house stands empty. No one wants to live there. The shed in the yard has been completely demolished. A small flower garden was built in its place. This story teaches us this. Sometimes the answers we're desperately seeking are hidden in the last places we would look. And sometimes the people we trust the most are the ones hiding the biggest secrets. Michael Thompson finally came home. Maybe it was too late, but justice was served. And his father David found peace for his son's soul. If you were also affected by this story, please protect your own loved ones. Trust your neighbors, but keep your eyes open too. Because real monsters sometimes hide among the most normal-looking people. Thank you for joining us until the end of this story. If these kinds of true stories interest you, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. In our next video, we'll tell you another shocking story.